Hey guys, I can't believe it's already winter, and if you're anything like me, you'll be doing some entertaining this holiday season. When it comes to serving up a perfect side dish for a large group of people, I feel like potatoes au gratin is kind of the perfect solution. First, you can prep it in advance and have it ready to put in the oven right before people get over. If you're going to someone's party, you can take it with you and finish it off under the broiler when you get to your destination. And it's something that everyone really likes. So, I mean, potatoes, cream, and cheese are perfect for fall and winter when you're indulging a little bit more and kind of satisfying yourself. Plus, this recipe in particular called for a mandoline, which had been on my wish list for a while, so I decided to treat myself a little bit early this year. So I got to play with my mandoline, and let's see how this recipe goes. Ingredient quantities and a link to the recipe are in the description box below. First, you'll want to prepare your baking dish. This is a 3-quart shallow baking dish that's broiler safe. I'm just rubbing the inside with a cut clove of garlic and then smearing with butter. Next, I'm getting the ingredients ready for the creamy sauce. So in a smaller medium saucepan, adding the heavy cream, salt, and pepper, then ripping all the leaves off the thyme, which was incredibly time consuming to do. Next, dicing up some shallot. So observe that I'm using kind of a shortcut here, making vertical and horizontal slits into the shallot while keeping the root end intact. This allows you to more quickly dice the shallot and it makes it a little bit more even. So I'm cooking this creamy sauce over low heat to infuse the flavors from the ingredients into the cream sauce. You want to be sure to keep this low to avoid breaking the cream. The recipe said this would take 15 to 20 minutes. It took me a little bit closer to 30. So I think I was being a little conservative with my temperature, but you do really want to be careful to not break your cream. While the cream is heating, I'm slicing the potatoes. So just do a quick check on your mandoline, make sure you're happy with the thickness. I'm on the thinnest setting for my mandoline, which is probably a little over 1 millimeter thick. You can see what quick work I'm making of the potatoes versus doing this all by hand, and all the slices are completely uniform, so I love that. If you're purchasing a mandoline, one thing to keep an eye out for is actually the width of the cutting blade. This is something I hadn't considered when I bought mine, and some of the larger potatoes actually didn't fit on the cutting surface, so I had to trim about a ½ inch off the side. So now it's time to assemble the dish. So you can see initially I started with these really neat rows. I did not like how that looked. So now I'm going and trying to kind of shingle and be a little bit more kind of casual looking. The only kind of rule to assembling this is that you want the potato slices to be kind of diagonal. You don't want them straight up and down in the pan. You want them, every slice should be touching the bottom and sticking out at the top. That way you're going to have a creamy bottom and a crispy top. Once the cream mixture is done heating, you're going to put that in a blender or use an immersion blender. Blend it till it's completely smooth, then pour it over the top of the potatoes. Wrap this tightly with aluminum foil, and then you're going to put this into the oven for 60 to 75 minutes. While the dish is baking, you can portion out your cheeses so they're ready to go. First, I'm finally grating some Gruyère cheese, and then I'm weighing out some pre-grated Parmesan. Carefully remove the foil to expose the bubbling, creamy inside, and then top with the cheese. You can see that my cheese is clumping together a little bit. I think next time I would just grate the cheese directly over the dish, and if you're off by a ½ ounce or so, it doesn't really matter. Pop this under the broiler for about 10 minutes, and you're basically just looking for the cheese on top to kind of get brown and bubbly and delicious. And this is the finished product. All right, so while these are hot, let's give them a taste. First, I guess I'm gonna see if you can see how crispy these are. Nice and crispy on the edges. It's really gooey in here. There's all this cheesy awesomeness. Let's see if they taste as good as they smell. Yeah, super creamy. The texture's great. The potatoes have a really nice kind of creamy inside where they're fully baked, but then it's nice and crispy on the outside. It's gooey but not like overly rich and creamy, and the garlic and the herb is really coming through, so it's a nice flavor but really indulgent at the same time. So overall, yeah, these are definitely great. I'm gonna finish these and then come back with some final thoughts. All right, so I finished that huge plate of potatoes, and I wanted to do that for a couple reasons. First, flavors kind of build in your mouth as you continue eating a dish, so sometimes the first couple bites aren't necessarily indicative of what the entire experience eating it's going to be. And they just tasted really good, so I wanted to finish up while they were still warm. So my main takeaways here, the potatoes were fantastic. They were really evenly cooked throughout, so I think that was really due to having a mandoline to evenly slice all of the potatoes. If I had to do that with a knife, with my skill set, it probably wouldn't have turned out quite as well. I mean, it wouldn't have been bad, but I think I would have had crispy potatoes and soggy potatoes, so this was really nice and even. The creamy mixture was not over-reduced or broken. I was concerned because I left it in the oven for close to the maximum baking time. So really good creamy texture. It wasn't like cheese pulley, but it was really rich and indulgent. And then kind of the garlic and herbal flavor did start to come through a little bit more as I ate. So if you are very sensitive to garlic, you might want to pare it back a little bit. I love garlic personally, so it was definitely a win for me. Definitely will make this dish again. It was nothing, too crazy. All the ingredients were easily accessible at the grocery store. It's normal pantry and fridge stuff. And so really the only thing to buy was the mandoline. If you've got really good knife skills, you may be able to do this with just a chef's knife. So kind of low risk from an ingredient and tools perspective. I hope you give it a try. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. I'm working on a lot of new content and I don't want you to miss any of it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.